Below is a rewritten version of the story. I've kept the core plot and themes intact: infidelity, forbidden attraction, internal conflict, and escalating tension, but I've changed the characters entirely. The protagonist is now named Jordan, 32, male, engaged to a woman named Olivia. The brother is named Lucas, 34. I've expanded the narrative to make it longer, adding more detailed descriptions, additional flashbacks, deeper internal monologues, extended dialogues, and subplots to build emotional depth and suspense while maintaining the original's intensity. 2 nights before my wedding, I moaned another man's name, her brother's. I never imagined I'd confess that, even to myself. But there it was, spilling out in a breathless whisper against his skin as I trembled, lost in a desire I knew I shouldn't chase. My name is Jordan. I'm 32, the kind of guy who's always played by the rules. Stable job in finance, polished reputation, a picture-perfect engagement to a stunning woman named Olivia. I thought I had it all figured out, that I was on the straight path to happiness. Olivia was everything good, compassionate, brilliant, with a love for me that seemed bottomless. But the truth? I wasn't in love with her. Not the way she deserved. And worse, my gaze had started wandering, not to some stranger, but to her brother, Lucas. He was 34, with a rugged edge that screamed trouble. Tall, broad-shouldered, with that effortless swagger I pretended not to notice. Every time he entered a room, the air thickened. My pulse quickened, and I felt exposed, like he could see the cracks in my facade. It started subtly, about 3 months back. We were at a family barbecue at their parents' house. Olivia was laughing with her cousins, flipping burgers on the grill, while Lucas lounged by the pool, beer in hand, his shirt unbuttoned just enough to show the tattoos snaking across his chest. He caught me staring, not glancing, but really staring, and instead of calling me out, he just smirked, raising his bottle in a mock toast. I froze, heat rushing to my face, and quickly looked away, busying myself with helping Olivia. But that smirk lingered in my mind like a hook, pulling at thoughts I buried deep. Now, fast forward to that fateful night. I was in his apartment, tangled in sheets that smelled like him, musk and faint cologne, wearing nothing but regret. How did I get there? It started innocently enough, or at least that's what I told myself. Earlier that day, Olivia had texted me, "Hey love, can you swing by Mom and Dad's to grab those centerpieces for the reception? Lucas should be home to help." My stomach twisted, but I replied with a casual, sure thing, as if my heart wasn't already racing. When I arrived, the house was quiet except for the hum of the AC. Lucas answered the door, fresh from a workout, shirtless and glistening with sweat, a towel draped over his shoulders like he owned the damn world. "Didn't expect you to actually show," he said, leaning against the frame, his eyes scanning me with that knowing glint. I tried to play it cool, forcing a laugh. "Olivia sent me. You know how she is, always organizing." He stepped aside to let me in, but as I brushed past, his arm grazed mine, sending a jolt through me. "She does love sending you my way," he murmured, closing the door with a soft click. The air felt heavier inside, charged. We moved to the living room where the boxes were stacked. I bent to lift one, but he was right there, too close, his presence overwhelming. "You're tense, Jordan," he observed, his voice low. "Wedding jitters?" I straightened up, avoiding his eyes. "Something like that." He chuckled, a deep rumble that vibrated through me. "Or is it something else?" He stepped closer, his bare chest inches from my shirt. I could feel the heat radiating off him. "You ever wonder why you keep ending up here alone with me?" My mouth went dry. "I don't know what you're talking about." But he leaned in, his breath warm against my ear. "Liar, I've seen the way you look at me. Like you're starving." My heart hammered. I should have bolted, but my feet stayed planted. That evening, Olivia was out with her bridesmaids for a final fitting. I told her I'd crash at her parents' place to avoid traffic the next day. Stupid excuse, but she bought it, kissing me goodbye with that trusting smile. I paced the guest room for hours, trying to convince myself to sleep. But at 11:58 p.m., there was a knock, soft, insistent. I opened the door and there he was, Lucas in low-slung joggers and nothing else, his muscles etched in the dim hallway light. "Mind if I come in?" he asked, his voice a velvet rumble. I nodded, stepping aside like an idiot, knowing full well I was 2 days from vowing forever to his sister. He didn't waste time. He closed the door and sat on the edge of the bed, his eyes locking onto mine. "You're shaking," he noted, reaching out to steady my arm. His touch was electric. "I'm getting married in 2 days," I whispered, more to remind myself than him. "To Olivia." He tilted his head, that smirk returning. "And yet here I am, and here you are." The silence stretched, thick with unspoken truths. He leaned forward, his face inches from mine. Our breaths mingled, hot, ragged. "Tell me to leave, Jordan," he challenged softly. I didn't. Couldn't. His hand cupped the back of my neck, pulling me in. Our lips brushed, tentative at first, like testing forbidden waters. But when I didn't pull away, he deepened it, his kiss claiming, hungry. Everything blurred after that. He pushed me back onto the bed, his body covering mine, solid and unyielding. His hands roamed, rough, demanding, stripping away my clothes, my defenses. I gasped as he pinned my wrists above my head, his lips trailing fire down my neck, my chest. "You're not stopping me," he growled against my skin. "Because I don't want you to," I admitted, my voice breaking. He grinned, grinding against me, every movement igniting sparks. "Say it louder." I did, moaning his name as he took control, his touch erasing the world outside. It was raw, intense, months of pent-up tension exploding. He knew exactly how to unravel me, whispering filthy promises that made me arch into him, begging for more. Flashback. The spark ignited weeks earlier, during a weekend trip to pick out suits for the groomsmen. Olivia had a work emergency, so it was just Lucas and me driving to the city. The radio played some old rock tune, windows down, wind whipping through. He glanced over at a stoplight. "Ever been with a guy, Jordan?" The question hit like a punch. I laughed it off nervously. "What? No, man. That's random." He didn't laugh. "You didn't sound so sure." The light turned green, but his words hung there. That night, back home with Olivia, I couldn't sleep. Dreams flooded in, vivid, explicit, of Lucas, his hands on me, his voice commanding. I woke up sweating, guilty, but the ache lingered. Back in the moment, as dawn crept in, I lay beside him, spent and shattered. His arms slung over me possessively. I slipped out of bed, dressing in silence, but he woke, sneaking off. He murmured, propping up on an elbow, his naked form unashamed. "This was a mistake," I muttered. He sat up fully, the sheet falling away. "Didn't feel like one last night. You moaned my name over and over, begged me to keep going." I flinched, memories flashing, his body moving with mine the way I'd clutched him, whispering confessions I'd never voiced. "You said I made you feel alive, things she never could." Truth stung worse than lies. Another flashback. Olivia's surprise date night, a week prior. She'd planned a romantic dinner, candle-lit, her eyes sparkling as she toasted to us. Midway through, she'd slipped me a note. "You're my everything, Jordan. I can't wait to build a life with you." I smiled, but inside turmoil raged. While she spoke of our future, my mind replayed stolen glances at Lucas during family dinners, the way his foot had accidentally brushed mine under the table last Sunday. I backed toward the door. "No one can know. I'm marrying your sister." Lucas stood, closing the distance, his hand on my chest. "You can pretend, but this?" He gestured between us. "This is real." I shoved him away and fled, but in the car my body still hummed with his touch. I thought it was over. I was wrong. The next day dragged, final preparations, calls from vendors. I avoided Lucas, focusing on Olivia. But at the rehearsal dinner that evening, the venue buzzed with joy. Toasts, laughter, clinking glasses. My family mingled with hers, everyone beaming. Then Lucas arrived, sharp in a navy suit, no tie, his presence commanding the room. Our eyes met across the crowd. He winked subtly, mouthing, "Missed you?" My throat tightened. I escaped to the balcony for air, but he followed. "Running again?" he whispered, cornering me against the railing. "We can't do this," I hissed. He stepped closer, his cologne invading my senses. "Can't? Or won't admit you want to?" His hand brushed my arm. "Remember last night? You tasted like desperation and I loved it." I shoved him back. "You're sick," he laughed softly. "And you're addicted." Voices neared. He backed off, but his words echoed. That night, alone with Olivia in our hotel suite, we reviewed vows over wine. She snuggled close. "I can't believe tomorrow's the day. You're my forever, Jordan." Guilt choked me. All I could think of was Lucas, his dominance, the fire he'd ignited. As I drifted to sleep, my phone vibrated. A text from him. "Tomorrow before the ceremony. My room, you'll come. You always do." I deleted it, but sleep evaded me, wedding morning. I swore I'd resist. But at 5:45 a.m., nerves frayed, I drove to the hotel where he was staying. He opened his door wordlessly, yanking me inside by my tie. "You couldn't stay away," he growled, slamming me against the wall. "I hate you," I spat, but my hands were already fisting his shirt. "No," he countered, dragging me to the bed. "You had—" Hands were already fisting his shirt. "No," he countered, dragging me to the bed. "You hate yourself for wanting this." He stripped me methodically, his touches deliberate, reigniting every flame. "Tell me to stop." I didn't. Instead, I pulled him down, surrendering again. Deeper, harder, more desperate than before. Hours later, dressed in my tux, I stood at the altar, Olivia radiant in white, oblivious. Lucas, as best man, stood nearby, his knowing smile a silent threat. Vows exchanged, rings slipped on, but in my mind I was still his. The reception blurred, dances, speeches. Lucas cornered me in a quiet hall. "Congratulations, brother-in-law," he mocked. "But remember, you're mine first." I walked away, but the pull remained, a secret chain binding me. Our story wasn't over. It was just beginning, tangled in lies and longing. This version expands the original by adding more sensory details. Extended flashbacks, e.g., the suit shopping trip and date night, prolonged dialogues, and additional scenes like the balcony confrontation and wedding day aftermath to heighten tension and lengthen the narrative while preserving the essence. It started innocently enough, or at least that's what I told myself. I was Alex Rivera, 34, an architect in a bustling city, designing sleek high-rises that pierced the skyline like arrows. My life was structured, predictable, engaged to Sophia Hayes, the woman who'd been my rock for 5 years. She was everything I thought I wanted, smart, ambitious, with a laugh that could light up a room and eyes that sparkled like emeralds under city lights. We met at a networking event. She was pitching ad campaigns, I was sketching blueprints. It clicked. Or so I believed. Sophia came from a tight-knit family, the kind that gathered for Sunday dinners and holiday traditions. Her older brother Jordan was the wild card, a 36-year-old painter whose canvases sold for fortunes in trendy galleries. He had that effortless charm, tousled dark hair, piercing blue eyes, and a tattoo sleeve that told stories of late nights and lost loves. Jordan was openly bisexual, unapologetic about it, and he'd always treated me like family. "You're good for her, Alex," he'd say with a wink. "Don't screw it up." But then came the bachelor party. Sophia's idea, let Jordan plan it, since he knew all the best spots. It was supposed to be a low-key night, drinks at a rooftop bar, maybe a club. Instead, it turned into something else. We ended up at Jordan's loft after hours, the group dwindling until it was just us two, nursing whiskeys on his balcony overlooking the river. "You nervous about the big day?" Jordan asked, his voice low, smoke curling from his cigarette. "A little," I admitted. "Marriage is permanent." He laughed, that deep rumbling sound that always made my stomach flip in ways I ignored. Permanent like a tattoo. Hurts at first, but you get used to it. He leaned closer, his knee brushing mine. Or maybe you're scared of what you really want. I froze. His eyes locked on mine, and suddenly the air was thick. I should have left, but I didn't. His hand grazed my arm, and before I knew it, we were inside, the door clicking shut behind us. Clothes hit the floor. It was raw, urgent, his body against mine, strong and unyielding. I surrendered in ways I'd never imagined, whispering his name like a confession. That was 6 months before the wedding, and it wasn't the last time. The guilt gnawed at me like rust on steel. Every time I saw Sophia, planning our future, picking venues, tasting cakes, I'd flash back to Jordan's bed, his hands mapping my skin, his breath hot against my ear. "This is wrong," I'd tell him afterward, pulling on my shirt in the dim light of his studio. "Is it?" He'd counter, propping himself on an elbow, his naked form illuminated by the city glow. "Or is it just real?" I hated how he made it sound simple. Sophia deserved better. She was building a life with me, a house in the suburbs, talks of kids someday. Her family adored me, her parents treating me like the son they never had. But Jordan, he saw through the facade. He knew the parts of me I hid, the doubts that whispered in the quiet hours. Flashback to our first real conversation about it, weeks after that initial night. We were in his gallery after a show, surrounded by his abstract paintings, swirls of red and black that mirrored the chaos in my chest. "Why me?" I asked, staring at a canvas that looked like a storm. "Because you're not as straight-laced as you pretend," he said, handing me a glass of wine. "And because Sophia's my sister. I see how you look at her, and how you look at me." I denied it, of course, but denial only fueled the fire. We met in secret, stolen afternoons in hotel rooms, late-night drives to nowhere. Each time I swore it was the end. Each time I came back. The wedding loomed like a deadline. Rehearsal dinners, fittings, vows scripted on elegant paper. Sophia glowed, her excitement infectious. "I can't wait to be Mrs. Rivera," she'd say, curling into me at night. But the night before the ceremony, Jordan texted, "My place." One last time, I went. God help me, I went. His apartment smelled of paint and coffee, canvases leaning against walls like silent witnesses. He didn't waste words. Pinned me against the door, lips crashing into mine. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate, like we both knew the clock was ticking. Clothes torn off, bodies entwined on his bed. His hands roamed my chest, my thighs claiming every inch. "She'll never own you like this," he murmured, his voice rough with possession. I didn't argue. In that moment, I was his, completely. The world outside faded. Sophia, the wedding, my carefully constructed life. All that mattered was the heat, the surrender, the way he made me feel alive in a way I'd never known. An hour later, spent and breathless, I dressed in silence. "This is it," I said, my voice cracking. "The last time." He sat up, sheet pooling around his waist, and smirked, that infuriating, knowing smirk. "You'll never stop wanting this." I left without looking back, but his words echoed like a curse. The wedding day dawned bright and cruel. The venue was a picturesque chapel in the hills, flowers cascading like waterfalls, guests in their finery. I arrived late, hair disheveled, skin still tingling from Jordan's touch. Sophia looked ethereal in her lace gown, her smile radiant as she adjusted my tie. "You okay, babe?" "You seem off?" "Just nerves," I lied, forcing a grin. My heart hammered as I glanced at Jordan in the front row, impeccable in a navy suit, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Our gazes met, and that smirk returned. I tore away, guilt flooding me like acid. The ceremony began. Music swelled, guests rose. Sophia started down the aisle, arm in arm with her father, her eyes locked on mine with pure love. But as she approached, the weight crushed me. I couldn't do it. Not with Jordan's scent on my skin, his words in my head. I turned and ran. The doors banged open behind me, gasps rippling through the crowd. "Alex!" Sophia's voice cracked like thunder. Her mother's sobs, her father's shouts, none of it stopped me. I sprinted to my car, drove straight to Jordan's loft, pounding on the door like a madman. He opened it, casual as ever, a paintbrush in hand. "You ran!" "I couldn't," I gasped, stepping inside. "I couldn't vow forever to her while feeling you everywhere." He closed the door, his expression softening. "Did you love her?" I tried. "But not like this. And me?" His voice was quiet, vulnerable for the first time. My silence said it all. He pulled me close, the kiss deep and aching. Not lust, but something profound, like two broken pieces fitting together. "I tried to hate you," I whispered. "Me too," he replied, his forehead against mine. Meanwhile, back at the chapel, chaos reigned. Sophia stood frozen at the altar, bouquet wilting in her hands, tears carving paths down her cheeks. Guests whispered. Phones buzzed with speculation. She glanced at Jordan's empty seat. Wait, where was he? Realization dawned like a slap. She knew. Somehow in that gut-wrenching moment, it all clicked. The late nights, the distant looks, the unspoken tension. Hours later, at Jordan's we lay on his couch, limbs entangled, the frenzy replaced by quiet truth. "What now?" I asked, tracing patterns on his chest. "Now we face it," he said. "Tell the truth to her, to everyone. I don't know how to be this. Gay? Be? In love with my fiancé's brother?" The labels felt foreign, terrifying. "You already are," he murmured. "You've just been hiding." The knock came that evening, shattering the fragile peace. 3 deliberate raps. "Alex?" Sophia's voice raw and hollow. Jordan nodded. "Open it." My hand shook as I turned the knob. There she stood, still in her wedding gown, mascara smeared like war paint, eyes blazing with betrayal. Behind me, Jordan lingered in the shadows, his usual confidence stripped away. "Say it," she demanded, stepping inside. Her gaze flicked between us, piecing it together. "Sophia, I'm in love with your brother." The words hung like smoke. She nodded, lips trembling, but she didn't collapse. Instead, she advanced, voice steady despite the tears. "You knew," she spat at Jordan. "All those family dinners, the planning. You watched me build this dream while you stole it." "I didn't steal him," Jordan said quietly. "He chose. Because you tempted him." She whirled on me, fists balled. "I gave you my heart, my future. We had plans, kids, a home. And you threw it away for this? It wasn't planned," I stammered. "But it happened. I couldn't lie anymore." Her laugh was bitter. "You didn't just cheat. You destroyed us. All of us." She paused, eyes boring into mine. "I thought you were afraid of commitment. But no, you were afraid of admitting you wanted him more than me." She stormed to the door, pausing one last time. "You two deserve this mess. Not because it's love, but because you built it on ruins." The door slammed. Silence descended, thick and suffocating. Jordan and I didn't speak for hours. Shame warred with relief in my chest. I'd lost her, her family, my old life. But had I gained anything? "I should go," I said finally. He didn't stop me. "Come back when you're ready. When you know who you are, not just running from who you were." That night I drove aimlessly through rain-slicked streets, replaying everything. The man in the rearview mirror looked like a stranger. Hollow-eyed, broken. Therapy started the next week. Unpacking years of denial, family expectations, my conservative parents who preached traditional values, and the fear that had kept me in the closet. I moved to a tiny studio, returned gifts, faced judgmental stares from mutual friends. Sophia's parents cut me off. Her friends blocked me. I didn't blame them. Jordan vanished too. No calls, no text. The silence was deafening. I threw myself into work, sketching designs that mirrored my turmoil, twisted structures, unstable foundations. But at night, alone, I'd replay our moments. His laugh, his touch, the way he saw me. It was real love, I realized in therapy. Messy, painful, but undeniable. 4 months passed. I'd started healing, joined a support group, came out to a few friends. Then, one rainy evening, I couldn't take the void anymore. I drove to Jordan's loft, heart pounding, knocked. No answer. Texted, "I'm outside, please," delivered but unread. I sat on the stoop till dawn, whispering regrets into the night. My final message, "You were right." I was scared. But now I know I'm the man who wants you, no matter the cost. I walked away, tears mixing with rain. 8 months later, I'd rebuilt in a new city, a fresh job at a progressive firm, a cozy apartment with views of the park. Therapy continued. I even dated casually, testing the waters. No one compared to him. Then, a text from an unknown number. Still sketching charcoal? My breath caught. It was him. We met at a quiet cafe by the river. He looked different. Hair longer, eyes wearier, but that smile, it lit something in me. We hugged long and fierce, no words needed. I needed time, he said over coffee, to process the hurt I caused her. Us. Me too, I admitted. But I never stopped loving you. He reached across the table, fingers intertwining with mine. Let's start over. No secrets, no ruins. Just us. And in that moment, as the sun set over the water, I knew we'd found our way back, not just to each other, but to ourselves. The end.